Sorry.
6:30.
Sorry. Okay. Good evening, everyone. We call the meeting to order. It is exactly 6:41. Sorry for the delay. With everyone, please rise, and I will ask Ms. Cohen if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please,
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you permit, if we can take just 1 minute of silence for our children and our teachers. I am an educator for the tragedy that occurred in Parkland. Thank you. Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Philippe,
Here.
Ms. Cohen,
here.
Mr. McDermott, Ms. Arnold,
Here.
Ms. McGuire-Fenelon, Ms. Boulay,
Here.
Ms. Hill.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Oh, new person. Would you please explain the announcement to the audience for the process?
Yes, sir.
Our attorney's going to do it. Okay.
Good evening. This is an announcement concerning the quasi-judicial process. These items may either be approved, denied, or approved with conditions. For the public hearings, please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. The applicant or duly authorized agent for the applicant must be present. If no representative is present, the application will be tabled to the next Board of Adjustment meeting. When the petition is announced, the applicant or his or her agent shall approach the microphone and state his or her name and address for the record. Any interested party wishing to speak on any item may approach the podium after the board has opened the public hearing. Each party shall approach the microphone and state his or her name and address for the record, and shall address his or her comments to the board. Each party shall speak for not more than 3 minutes in order to provide for order and time for other interested parties to address their concerns and comments to the board.
Thank you. And with that said, since this is a quasi-judicial meeting, we do need anyone who's going to speak on the item, whether it is for or against, to take the oath. So if you would stand up, and our attorney would administer.
That will include the applicant and any members of the public that want to speak on the application. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings? Thank you.
And with that being said, any amendments to the agenda? No? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from December 13, 2017?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank
We
you.
all seconded.
Okay, moved by Mr. McDermott and seconded by Ms. Hill. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any communication with the board?
So if I can just explain that to the board, and we haven't had any kind of update to board procedures or applicable case law, but this reference of board member communications is in quasi-judicial proceedings. Generally, as a matter of course, ex parte communications are prohibited. That means communications with members of the public or representatives of the applicant. However, there are exceptions, and the exceptions is when the local government adopts an ordinance that allows for it, and in case such communications occur, the communication is either provided in writing to staff in advance of the hearing or announced publicly at the hearing. So if you're announcing it publicly at the hearing, you need to state with whom the communication took place and the subject matter of the communication. So this is on the applications that are before you tonight. If you had any contact with the applicant or members of the public, you're supposed to disclose that.
I got a call from a member of the community just voicing her opinion about the topic.
Okay, and the name of that person?
Sarah McDevitt.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I don't answer my phone, so. All right, with that being said, since we have no continued items, we will start with the new petition, which is V-01-18, Safe Future Detox at 1400 Northeast 125th Street.
Good evening, Board. My name is Debbie Love. I'm the new zoning manager, and I'll be working with you as a board. Some of you I know and have met before.
Turn your mic on.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. I was wondering why I wasn't hearing myself very well. Debbie Love, your zoning manager, and this particular petition, I'm so sorry. This particular petition came to staff, and we have a brief PowerPoint for you. There we go.
Yeah, could you turn on that TV there? So we can see?
Oh, yeah. Dunya?
Dunya?
The one on that side.
Can you turn that one on? So they can see.
Is she calling?
They need to do that.
While we wait, Madam Chair, if I can read the title into the record.
Sure.
This is a special exception use pursuant to Article 4, Division 2, Section 4-202 of the Land Development Regulations, LDRs, to allow a proposed detox facility at the property located at 1400 Northeast 125th Street in the M1 District. Said special exception to be reviewed under the criteria set forth in Article 3, Division 5, Section 3-504 of the LDRs.
Thank you.
So let's run you quickly through, I know that you all have your board report in front of you, but let's run through this PowerPoint really quickly. As you can see, this is, the entire property is a little less than an acre, and this building has been there since 1954. They currently have just two tenants, and one is the petitioner, and the other is a separate business. And the petitioner wants to establish a maximum 5-bed detox facility that will be used for overnight stays. This is not the same as a sober home. This is a detox facility, and the applicant, I'm sure, can answer any specific questions you may have on the specifics to what they are proposing to do. But we at staff level, we reviewed it based upon the LDRs, and it does comport with that. Only about 25% of the overall building is going to be converted to this hospital bed. It's the upstairs portion, as you can see from the site plan that's also in your package, that they are taking part of the office space upstairs and converting it to this intensive detox, or I shouldn't say intensive, this detox facility. And again, it depends upon the patient's condition as to how long the stay would be, but it would range anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And they're going to have, it's going to be open 24 hours a day, and my understanding is during their stay, they have no visitors. So this is a more intensive detox facility that is not, again, it's not the same as a sober home. It is in the M1 district, and when we looked at the traffic, which of course is something that one of the criteria in the LDRs, is actually going to generate less traffic by converting the office use. Because number one, it's a hospital, and number two, there's no visitors. So normally in a hospital where you have visitors all day long coming in and out, as you all know in a typical hospital, this particular facility does not allow visitors. So it's actually reducing the number of trips both in the peak morning and the evening hours. So that's critical for us when we're reviewing these type of proposals. And the parking, they have adequate parking, because again, that's what we wanted to look at, is make sure they have adequate parking. Well, the parking spaces that they have is more than enough for the current use, and way more than they would actually need for the proposed use. They'll actually need less parking spaces than the current use has. So again, it's reducing the need for parking, it reduces trips out on the roadway. It's in the M1, and it is not a residential sober home. So I think that was it, Brittany, isn't it? So with that, that's the basis of my brief presentation to you. It does meet all the criteria of the LDRs, as you saw in there in the land use districts, what's surrounding it. There is a high-density residential, but it's across from, not adjacent, not where it's abutting, it's across a major highway, that is surrounded by industrial uses elsewhere. And when we looked at both the comp plan and the LDRs, we believe that it comports with both the intent and the letter of the law. So with that in mind, if you have any questions for the applicant or myself, we'd be more than happy to assist with that.
Thank you, Ms. Love.
Yes, sir.
Will the applicant please come forward? Applicants, okay, if you please state your name and addresses, please.
My name is Joy Owens. My address, home address is 7310 Belmead Island Drive, Miami, Florida 33138.
William Marquez, 3948 Northeast, 169th Street, number 305, North Miami Beach.
Is there anything that you would like to add to the presentation?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to thank personally Mrs. Love for all the work they have done. They have taken us very carefully, step by step, in what they're expecting to see before the approval of this wonderful project. I'm glad that you mentioned that you are an educator. One of the areas that we identified in the city is the need for education, and unfortunately, the major crisis that the country is living, which is substance abuse, we saw an opportunity to offer something to the community that will allow us to change people's life.
All right. With that said, I will open public hearing. Is there anyone for or against who have been sworn in? And now is your opportunity to come and speak. You may sit down for a while,
Thank you.
and then,
She could be sworn in.
Yeah.
They just walked in.
I'll let the others first.
Hi, I'm Maria Werlau. My address is 1470 Northeast, 123rd Street, apartment 302, North Miami.
She was sworn in. There's only, I'm sorry, there's only one person who came in after.
Yes,
Theo.
and I just want to clarify, if you have questions, you should direct your questions to the board, and the board will determine whether they need more information to answer them.
Very good. I'm here with two of my neighbors, and they might also have some questions. But I'll just start. We just have some questions. We received a letter, thank you, informing us of this. I have several questions. Why is it a special exception use? What is the exception about? Second, have you reviewed any studies of delinquency or any other criminal activity or within 0.5 miles of similar facilities, maybe in the country? Second, you said that you understand, my understanding is no visitors during the stay, but is that no visitors or an understanding? I mean, can we get some idea of whether that is a firm commitment by the firm? And my other question is, what is the experience and track record of this business? Are they in other countries, in other states, in other cities, or what are they? Those are the questions that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Interesting questions. Okay, anyone else?
She needs to be sworn in.
Yeah.
I need to be sworn in, I gather. I'm sorry, I was a little late.
Just raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
Yes, of course. Okay, Sarah McDevitt, business owner near the subject property, 12605 Northeast 14th Avenue, so it's just right across the way. I'm just here to express concern because I'm sure everybody's aware of the potential future use in that area, transit hub, et cetera, being, that it would be potentially a, place that we would want to receive loads of visitors, and, you know, if you think about the way that Brightline's positioning their central hub downtown, it's a jewel. It's a place where, you know, they have high-end dining and restaurants, they have high-end residential. They're transitioning that into an area that is attractive and a welcoming place in the city. And not to say that a treatment facility is not a welcoming place in our community. Of course, we want to make sure that everybody in our community is being served, but I'm not entirely convinced that a different location in our city might not be a better place for a treatment facility. And that's the concern that I have. I feel like, you know, we need to look at that area as a place where we're bringing in businesses that would have people coming and going from them, have, you know, retail and restaurants, shops and things that people, when they get off the train, hopefully in the future, are coming and going from, not a facility that is a place where, you know, we're thinking about helping residents. That's my point. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We do have
Anyone
one-
else?
We do have one to read into the record. That came via email.
Okay.
Oh, we've got
Yeah,
one.
she's coming.
My name is Donna McVeigh. I live at 1470 Northeast 123rd Street, also, with these ladies back here, the Greenwich condominium, and which is across the street from the proposed site. I would like to say that it is a residential facility where I live. There are many buildings there and several apartment planned urban developments in that area, just east of 14th Avenue Road. We have major issues right now with traffic coming in on both sides. As far as abundant parking goes on 14th Avenue Road, I don't believe there is that much abundant parking. It's difficult enough with traffic during rush hours or any school hours to be able to move in and out of there. I would like the board to please consider that. Also, I have a question regarding the clients or patients of the facility. Where would they be coming from? Or and you did resolve that they will be could be residing there. Will that also be in a day facility where people are in and out throughout the day? And are there more options for people in the same building? I tried looking up online to identify what this company is, Safe Future Detox, and I couldn't find any information at all on it, and was wondering if there is a if they do have experience with this type of work anywhere else. And has it been successful, and has it had any impact on the surrounding community? You had mentioned also that it was a hospital. There's a hospital, and I'm not really aware of a hospital in that area. So I was just wondering if there were plans for a hospital as well.
No, you don't.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. So I will now close public hearing and open up to the board. Go ahead, Ms.
Sure. I'd like, would it be okay if we asked some of the history this company has, if they could approach the podium and answer some questions about their professional history?
I am the administrator and owner of Florida Homebound, which is a company that's been there since 2004. And we provide services throughout the entire South Florida, provide healthcare services, majority, and the name of the company is Florida Homebound Mental Health Agency. So we have long years that we've been providing mental health services to patients with medical and psychiatric problems. Safe Future is a behavioral health, and we've been there now since 2014. And we are providing services to mental health clients. and clients with substance abuse problems.
You've been at that location since 2014?
I've been in that location since 2004.
That being, which location is
The
that?
location-
1400 Northeast 125th Street. We own the building.
Providing other services.
Right,
Yeah.
at the current location.
Yes, I believe that, you know, the services that we're providing, we're talking about 5 beds. So I don't see the impact that we would actually, that would come on the city because of 5 beds, 5 desperate people who are seeking a way to save their life and save their family's life and put their self back together so that they continue to offer themselves back to the community.
Okay.
It's a service that it's necessary, it's needed. The country has, as we see, is having a lot of problems with people who get on these drugs. Most of there's a lot of addiction in terms of pain medications. So that would be one of the things that we would be providing. Currently, some of the clients that we're serving right now are professionals who on a day-to-day basis struggle with their addiction but still go out and work. And this is the reason why we felt like there was a need in this community to help. We would be the first of such a program because there's no other in North Miami. And I think that the service would be good for the public. And we do have very good outcomes in the programs that we've offered. My background is in psychiatric nursing, and I have my master's in psychology. And currently, that's what I do. I'm an assessor. We work with children, adolescents, and adults, providing mental health and substance abuse services
And
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
At that location
at that location.
since 2004?
Since 2004, we've been providing the services through home health services, and in 2014, we received our certification through the state to provide direct mental health and substance abuse client services
Under Safe Future.
under Safe Future.
Okay,
And
got
did I hear, do you reside at the location?
No, I don't reside
Okay,
there.
I thought I had heard somebody say there's 2 people who actually reside in part of.
No, nobody resides
Okay.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you done with your
If-
questions?
If I may address one of their concerns, which has to do with delinquency. Ever since we've been operating there, we haven't had a single incident that involves calling the police or any break-ins of any kind. As Ms. Love exposed there, the needs for parking are minimum because we're only gonna have 5 people staying there between 3 to 5 days, which is what the insurance companies would allow. Goes without saying that most of these clients will be covered by insurance companies, therefore, it's not like we're bringing homeless from the street to bring them in there. So the possibilities of delinquency of any kind is very minimal.
I do have a real quick
Okay, hold
follow-up
on.
question, if I
Okay.
may,
Go ahead.
regarding the parking. I looked at your lease and it seems like it's expired. It says that your lease for the parking with the railroad, that you entered into it September 11th, 2006, and it was initially for a 1-year term and with a right to renew. But the last date I see on it is 2008. What's the current status of your lease?
No, we're still, it turns over every year. We just don't sign a new one every year, but it just turns over every year.
I'd just like to
If I-
remind my board members, though, that parking is not part of the
Yeah.
application. So this is special exception. Okay, so
If I
we're
could
not,
just respond, though, on
Sure.
page 2, the second paragraph, it automatically renews every year unless terminated. So I assume at this point, it's not been terminated,
Right.
correct?
Staff has
May I
verified
ask
that
my
it's still
questions
active.
now?
Okay.
Ms. Boulay?
Okay, so I have a few questions. So should I ask them and then you answer, or you may just ask them all together? Okay. I heard you say something about where the patients are coming from, but I didn't hear exactly if they're coming from an agency, if they're being referred, if they're walk-ins, police are bringing them. Like, how are they coming to you to receive the services?
Mostly, currently, our clients are coming to us through insurance We work with Beacon Health, which is a very large insurance company, and under there we have Humana, we have Molina.
Not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but are they court ordered? Are
No,
they
they're not
walk-in?
No, they're
They're
not
coming on their own
court-ordered.
recognizance?
They're coming, it's voluntary.
Okay. And you said something about education being offered about substance abuse, and that is to high school age students, that's to young adults, or how is that program working?
The program offers services to children. We have children as young as 2. Now, doesn't mean that that particular child is having substance abuse problem, but we offer more than just substance
Yeah, their
abuse.
medication.
Yeah,
issue.
so
Okay.
we get very involved. We get very involved with teaching on medications. One of the things that we do with children, because we do have one of our youngest child is 2 years old, it's behavioral health, for example, in terms of working with the parents and teaching them parenting skills and things like that. Being part of the home helps those children from very young to learn about the dangers of using drugs and alcohol. And so we have something called a targeted case management service, which is for mental health.
Mhm.
And so we get a lot of referrals from children that are oppositional or having a lot of difficulty in school. And we've got a child as young as 11 years old who have tried alcohol, for example, and we get involved with that to basically educate that child and educate the family in its entirety, because sometimes children are just following what is going on in the home. And so the biggest thing that we do in the home is to help these families with parenting skills and educating them about the dangers of children getting their hands on alcohol and drugs. Teaching families, for example, a family member that's on painkillers or things like that, teaching them how to keep that drug away, not just keep it just anywhere, to keep it away from the children and things like that. So we're very much involved. We want prevention is where we want to really be. If we are able to get a society where people are educated early enough about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, we'll find that we'll have less and less people participating in these activities.
And the age group that you'll be servicing, what age group are they?
Adolescents would be part of this because those are some of the referrals that we've talked to a couple of insurance that they're interested in referring to us. So adolescents and adults and even the elderly, people over 65. So we'll be working with everybody.
So if there is a homeless person who is referred to the program, maybe through an outside agency that provides some type of health care or insurance that your organization takes, would you then provide care for
Well, we
them as
don't
well?
discriminate. So we don't provide services for people that don't have any way of paying for the services because we're a private company, but we do not discriminate. So, that's not the focus of whether you're homeless or not. The focus is the problem and how we can help to find a solution.
Okay, no, it's because there was a comment that was made by your partner, and I just want to make sure that whether it's open to everyone
Open to
or
everyone.
Okay.
We don't discriminate.
Okay.
For as long as they have insurance coverage.
Well, because we cannot take care of people, what's involved in the detox is not just a counselor, for example. We're going to
It's
have
very
psychiatrists,
intense.
medical doctors, nurses. It's a very expensive service. So we're not set up. We don't have grants or anything like that. Maybe down the road we would, we might apply for things like that. But it's a very small service. One of the big things that we do is that we have a large group of case managers. So when we get clients, for example, that don't have a way of paying for their care, we're able to use the community resources to refer them out. So, one of the things that we do at this building, and it's not part of what we're here for tonight, we work with children and family, where people, for example, in North Miami that don't have transportation to go to children and family to apply for food stamp and things like that, they can come to our service, and we're sitting there and we're helping them and counseling them. So we do a lot of things for the community, and this is the reason why we wanted to take the next step and to be involved in the big problem of drug and alcohol abuse in our communities.
Well, thank you for your clarification. I think by me being an educator or former educator now and an ESC teacher, I understand the need for such services.
And
So-
we welcome for you to come and maybe offer some of your services or your,
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah,
I will show
please,
up.
please. We welcome everyone because, I mean, it's always, you know how it is that if you have, we're there teaching you, but when people see new faces and things like that, they're very curious and they tend to listen. And so we're always inviting people from the community to come and meet with our clients and talk to them and try to help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a
Ms.
question.
Goen.
You say that the facility is open 24 hours. How many employees do you have around the clock?
Okay. This service will be open 24 hours. The services that we offer now is not 24 hours. We're providing an outpatient service, and so our outpatient services starts from 9 to 6:30, 10 to 6:30. But when we open the detox, then once we get the approval from the zoning, then we will be able to apply to the DCF program, and then that's when we will be able to follow based on, you know, they have specific requirements as to the number of people that would work. And as I said, it's very tiny compared to a lot of the, most of the programs out there.
Are you going to have security?
Yes.
What is the security? Is it a lockdown or the guards?
Well, we're gonna have a security guard that,
That's,
yeah, and we have video cameras and things like that
no,
that
no,
we'll
no,
be
no.
having.
You
But we
got-
would have somebody available. You know, North Miami has, you know, I've been in this community for a long time, providing services, and North Miami has come a long way. It's a much better place to live than I remember.
Well, we're trying to keep
when I
it that
first
way.
moved.
So I've got to know how much security or guards you're going to have, and are they going to be
Well,
around the clock?
You know,
Because-
well, let me just give you an idea of the staffing. So we will have an RN, we'll also have an attendant, and usually these are people that are, you know, that also have background in working in psychiatric settings. So because a lot of times people who are going through detox, you know, they might need additional help in, you know, we're not restraining people, we're not holding people to stay. If anybody was to get, you know, pretty sick and needed to go to be seen, they would be transferred. What we're doing very much is that at the initial, when the client comes in, they'll be evaluated by a specialist that specializes in addictions. And so we would know there's a level of care that we have. A lot of what we've known, and I've worked in detox before, and one of the things that we do is that based on the assessment and the points that we get, we decide whether or not that person is safe to stay in our setting or to send them to a hospital. So, and we will have enough. We'll have enough staff around the clock. We're not going to have just a nurse there, right? We'll have, you know, one RN with a couple of attendants.
So, no guard, and are you saying?
No,
No, I
yes,
thought
we are
you
going
said
to
there
have.
would be a guard.
We're going to have a guard, you know, around the clock.
Okay.
But, you know, as I said, it's something that we're doing just for comfort. And, you know, we already have guards. I mean, we already have guards that we do have at the building. And we have monitors. We have monitoring our building to make sure that our building stays safe. And as I said, we've been there. We've never had a breaking. We've never had any. The most that we've had was one, I guess a young person came and painted one of those flowers on our building, and, you know, we just painted over it. That's the worst that I can say that we've experienced there. And it was a beautiful flower after all.
Okay. Mr. McDermott, did you have anything to say?
Oh, yeah, okay. It's not
You're
it's not
welcome.
to them, it's to staff. I noticed that there was a letter from the neighbor, Mr. Alan Wasserstein, who is, owns a couple properties here in North Miami, and I noticed that he objected to this application. And as a matter of fact, he owns the property right next door, correct? 1450?
Is that- yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But a couple things I wanted to, I'm sort of curious about is that, for instance, as you know, there is a brewery that's opening up right across the street. There's a craft beer dispensary that's going to be right across the street for the property. And there's going to be one right down the street to the south. There's going to be a second one. So the facility is going to be surrounded by craft beer facilities. And there's going to be a lot of traffic. Now, I know, for instance, I've been through the parking lot a couple times. And I've been through the parking lot a couple times, and there's like 40 people running out of the building all at one time. So I don't know what.
There's a CrossFit center
No, this
there
is not
as
the
well.
CrossFit. There's a door right here, okay? Now, I've gone through there at least 4 or 5 times. I know the facility. The parking is impossible, okay? You just can't even park there. And as I say, I've gone through it different times of the day, because I go up and down 123rd Street a lot. And there's a couple times that I've gone in there, there's like 20, 30 people in their 30s and 40s coming out of the building all at one time. So is this already in operation, is a question?
Are they in gym clothes?
Pardon?
Are they in gym clothes?
No. No, this is, no.
Clarifying that.
It just- Because we understand
No,
that the
here's-
CrossFit
let me-
folks come
Let me
out.
show you, right here is the door I'm talking about, okay? CrossFit is way over here on the back. Because if you drive around it, you'll see there's a door here, and there's a door here, and then there's this CrossFit way in the back. These people are coming out here. Okay? And during those times, it's the parking lot, you can't even move. And with the 2 breweries that are basically going to be straddling this facility, the parking and the traffic is even going to be more intense. The other thing is that I noticed that there is a reference in the staff report in reference to the fact that that this is not a hospital by a Scrivener's error.
No, that's not what it says. It
Well,
is
that's what it
The
says.
definition, the definition in our code,
Uh-huh.
this use is a hospital by definition.
Right.
And the only Scrivener's error is in the comprehensive plan where we identified that during the LDR process, that was a Scrivener's error left out of the comprehensive plan that will be fixed in this next round.
But it still is not an acceptable use at this moment. You say it's going to be fixed?
It is.
According to staff interpretation,
Yeah,
it is.
it is.
Fits
Staff
into another
interpretation.
category.
It fits into a different category.
just.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have recommended approval.
Okay. All right, the other issue is that the licensing, have you been licensed yet by the state? Excuse me, have you been licensed by the state or the county as yet for a detox facility?
No, we have to get the zoning first.
We have to get
So,
approval here.
one of the things that I appreciate what you're telling us about the breweries and things that's coming up. One of the things that we have to recognize that in our society, we have liquor stores everywhere. So, I mean, I don't think that is going to make a difference. I mean, that's one of the education that people have to understand. Not everybody that drinks alcohol is an alcoholic. So those who are alcoholic have to learn the necessary coping and the necessary behavior not to indulge, because this is one thing that you're allergic to, or that your body is not able to break down in some fashion, and that is the reason why you drink to excess and it causes problem. So I cannot, stress enough that we have to focus on the fact that we all have to live under similar conditions, but we all have but we are different in how we respond to those conditions. And so, I mean, just like we cannot go and close down every liquor store in the city because there are a few people that have problems with alcoholism. So the fact that the brewers are going to be there, that will just help to strengthen these people more, because they will be tested. They have to be tested. And this is, I mean, if it wasn't the brewery, it would be a liquor store or something.
Well, I don't agree with that opinion at all.
I am a professional.
Yeah.
I've studied this thing, and I'm not just talking from an emotion. I'm talking from current current knowledge,
Mhm.
and this is what the experts talk about.
And-
People have to learn to live in their communities.
Well,
And Mr. McDermott, one of the things I have to remind you of is there's a specific set of special exception standards that we have to look at.
Mhm.
What is going on next year, 2 years from now, is immaterial to your approval for the special exception.
Mhm.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 standards for approval. This application meets all those standards for approval. That's what you have to look at when you are considering any special exceptional approval. I just want to remind you of that, because while we talk about breweries, while we talk about the transit, which somebody had brought that very good point up for the future, this is an existing office setting that has been long providing these services. They are now adding what is allowed in the LDRs as a special exception. And so we want to make sure that when you're looking at that, that's what you're focused upon. It is a voluntary program. It is not the same as having somebody Baker acted or forced to be there where you have to lock them down and have restraints and things like that. It's not that. We would not have brought that kind of project forward to you, because it certainly would not have met those standards for this type of use in that area. So we want to just caution you when you're having these discussions that these are your standards that you have to look at.
So just to add to the conversation, a lot of my questions have been already answered when it came to your referrals and the plans for how you're going to recruit them, et cetera. I want to commend you on the work you're doing with mental and behavioral health, which I think is very critical in today's society, specifically for adolescents. I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed early on. My only concern, because I'm always thinking about the environmental factors, which I don't know if it's one of the standards, is that there is an elementary school right there, and I understand they're not forced to stay. They're not on lockdown. But I also am concerned that that is a residential area, even though it's considered a business area and commercial. There are apartments and condos and an elementary school right there that I see kids every single day walking to and from school.
And there are liquor stores also.
No, I don't disregard that, but that is a concern that I think, once again, a lot of people are thinking about. Once again, it doesn't take away from the work that you're doing. And I wanted to make sure that was clear, but we have to think about the external factors that surround that business.
If I may, before we admit a patient or a client into this program, they're pre-screened. Obviously, they go for medical intervention before they're referred to us. So there's a criteria that they have to meet before they're accepted into our facility. And to address Mr. Fields' concern about the people coming out of the building, one of the things that we already have engaged for a long time already is the needs for making the facility available for people that have needs dealing with alcohol. And we have what they call the clubhouse that's host meetings with alcoholics of all kinds, of all ages, of all sources. And like she mentioned before, many of them are professionals struggling with their daily living. So sometimes, at certain days, certain times, you're going to see people leaving the building because we already have made that available to them.
No one is, I don't think anybody is questioning the value of your work.
Oh, yeah, value is there.
No, but just to address your concern, people coming at once, and that's what you see sometimes. You see vehicles parking there more than usual.
I have a question.
Yes.
Being that these are patients referred by insurance, so there are paperwork and all that kind of stuff in order to process them and of course to be paid and all. So similar to a hospital, I mean, they check in, so they're coming in. So if they choose not to stay, isn't there a process to allow them to leave? They're not just walking out of your building.
No.
Okay.
It's the same thing, the same steps that we would have to take as the hospital. And it's the same thing that we do in our day program. If someone elects that they don't want to continue in the service, there's a discharge process. It's called an AMA, leaving against medical advice. And they sign a paper stating that they no longer want to be there. And the main thing that we try to do with those clients is to try to refer them to somewhere else. Because sometimes maybe they don't like the food, or they don't like something, a staff or something. People have quirky ideas about what they're looking for when they come for service. So one of the big things that we have in our program is a referral source to make sure that that client, because one of the most important thing for us is safety for that person. And a lot of times people go into detox, and a couple of days later they decide, something, I don't think I'm going to be able to stay clean. And so instead of going through this process and wasting my time, I have decided I'm going to just stop now. Maybe down the road we'll do it. One of the things that we're going to do with that person is that we're going to connect them with a psychiatrist or connect them with a counselor, someone that will even visit them in their home and talk to them. One of the main things that we do there is that we try to get them hooked with a sponsor on day one. That sponsor is someone that used to be addicted with alcohol or drugs or whatever, and that is the person that they're going to be able to connect with. That person is going to tell them, listen, I've been where you are right now. I have thought these things that you're thinking now. And to try to help them, because a lot of times judgment and insights are not where they're supposed to be during that period, because it's a very frightening situation.
I guess what I was asking is, are they being dropped off, since we're saying that it's going to alleviate with the parking and the transportation and all that, because they're not driving in and out. So they're being dropped off for treatment and they're being picked up,
Or they're leaving their car there.
or when they are leaving your facility, they're not driving on their own.
No, the plans usually provide transportation for these people.
Okay, so that's what I wanted.
Oh, okay, I
because
didn't
their
understand what you were
concern is
asking.
that these are individuals who be walking out of your facility at will, and they might wind up going to the elementary school or somewhere, molesting a child or something.
Oh, my God.
I'm just putting it out there because that's
Yeah.
what's going through people's mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I mentioned earlier, that the pre-screening aspect of patients being admitted. We're gonna check into their records, they have a history. We're gonna look into every possibility
Yeah.
to
Is it
minimize.
on? Okay.
To minimize the risk, not only to the community, but to ourselves before anybody.
I think our attorney has something to
One
say.
of the things that we do, because we are concerned about the fact that we are close to schools, we do check our backgrounds of our clients. And if they have a history of sexual deviancy or something like that, they do not meet criteria to be in our treatment, because we do not provide that type of service, and we refer them, because they too need help, but we're not set up to work with that issue. So we do run background checks on our patients and make sure that these people are okay to be able to be in our service, because we do not want, sometimes when you're treating people, that could be the reason why they're using, because of the fact that they have that sexual deviance. We're not set up to treat the ongoing, that actual problem. So we have to know all of that before we can accept someone.
I have a question and some suggestions. So I understand the facility is voluntary, but does that mean that the patient can go out for lunch or can go out for dinner and then come back in?
No.
Are they in for the 3 to 5 days that they're in?
We are
So they're
set
not
up-
going next door to the brewery?
No,
No.
we are
Just clarifying.
Really?
We are
Right.
set up in a way that we will provide in absolutely everything they need for the time they're staying
Okay,
there.
thank you.
From meals, to medication, to showers, to dry, they don't need to, they come in and then they leave. And to address your question, Ms. Rosalind, earlier, there's two documents. One is a consent to treatment that they will sign, and specifications there. And also on the bill right of patients, the first line in there indicates that they have the ability to refuse services. So if for whatever reason they don't feel comfortable, they're free to go.
So, Madam Chair, I have 3 conditions to recommend based upon the conversation. So it would go under conclusion where there's already a 1 and a 2. So number 3 could read something like, applicant will maintain a security person at the detox facility during the 24-hour period while patients are in the facility. Number 4 could read, no more than 5 patients shall be permitted in the detox facility at any one time.
They can.
And 5, operation of the detox facility shall be subject to and shall not commence prior to obtaining all applicable licensing. Well, this is just to confirm.
This is licensed by Department
It
of
provides
Children and Family.
assurances to the board and the public
Okay.
that the
Good,
protections are in place.
DCF. It's DCF.
Can I ask
It's
a
just
final
like the,
question?
it's just like a childcare. You're licensed for what you're licensed for. And if you go beyond, then you lose that, and you
they
lose
would
it
have to
totally.
come back to us if they wanted to expand anything,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't allow them to.
Ms. Hill.
Yes. Okay. Can you talk briefly about your plans for promoting this in terms of signage? What kind of signage are you going to have advertising your detox facility?
Well, we already have literature in place. Unfortunately, we didn't bring it tonight.
Are you
Also
going,
about big signs,
the
so
question
they
is,
have a
are
sign
you
on the
going to
building.
advertise that it is a detox facility at that location? Will you have a sign advertising the fact that you're a detox
Well,
facility?
we have Safe Future is the mother company, and the Safe Future, there are different programs, so we don't need to specifically.
Yeah.
Because once you go into the chronogram of the company, you see the different programs that we actually run.
Okay, I just wonder, when you're going down 79th Street, you see a facility has big detox, say, rehabilitation center. It's becoming a gentrified, very hip kind of place. Not sure.
And different
I'd be comfortable if, I think I would change my mind if there was going to be a blaring sign advertising it right in our area.
The detox is the smallest entity, part
Right.
of the whole
Okay.
program that we're offering. And you know something, I don't know, he says he's passed by our building before. We don't even have a sign on our building so far because of the fact that, I've been not sure how to promote this and don't want to offend anyone or frighten anyone. So we're a mental health agency, but we don't have, because of the way that we get our referrals, we're not trying to get the people off the street to come and inquire or anything like that. And so we've been operating there since 2004, and we don't even have a sign.
Will you be getting a sign?
If we get a sign, the sign would be mostly talking about or Florida. It would be something about Florida Homebound because and it would say Safe Future LLC, and it would be saying like something like therapeutic services, something like that. Because like I said, we're not trying to get clients that are driving by or clients who are walking by to
Okay.
come to our facility or anything like that.
Thank you.
We can make that a condition that it
Yeah.
doesn't specifically say.
How about
it's
condition
similar
number
to
6?
a lot of the the battered shelters, you try to keep it conspicuous. You really don't want attention, to those type of things. And if they said they've been operating, and I know we do have a letter, an email that says they're against it and all that. And if we on the board didn't know that they were in operation since 2004, I'm pretty sure that, that gentleman probably doesn't know what goes on in that building either. So, any
So,
other
Madam Chair.
comment, discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
So an additional condition on the sign could read, no sign promoting or displaying the detox facility shall be placed on the exterior of the subject building.
Sounds good.
So you would have to
Yeah, we just said,
specifically,
Safe Future Therapeutic
yes,
Services.
that's.
And we're happy to do that because we're not trying to attract certain clients either. Like I said, our services are coming directly from insurance company, from hospitals, and from, as I said, we don't need, I don't have anything there right now, and we have been operating without a problem. So I don't think that,
So the
that was
condition
not
is
the
fine
plan.
with you, right?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
fine to just saying Safe Future Therapeutic Services. We're happy with that.
And I just want to add one more thing. We are proud to announce that we just acquired the JACO Commission accreditation, which holds the highest standards of quality in healthcare,
Congratulations.
recognized nationwide.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
99.75.
All right. Congratulations. I have a question. Question? Can I ask? quickly?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say the business, everything goes well. In the next maybe 2 or 3 years, you want to expand as far as adding more beds. Is there language that prevents the organization from adding more beds, or are they locked to the
No,
5 beds?
my understanding is we would be limiting it, and they would have to come back to the board for modification of a condition
Oh,
to
okay.
allow
Changes
more
what
beds.
they're getting, if
Okay.
we get
Right?
granted
You understand?
what it-
But
It
would-
doesn't-
And you're okay with
It
that?
doesn't prohibit it forever.
Okay.
Actually, that's the procedure to follow. We'll only be authorized to operate 5 beds.
Per DCF?
Yes.
Yeah,
And if-
because
children.
DCF is also, you know, if we wanted to expand, they would want us to open up in another community so that we offer more and more communities our services. So, and they like when the operations are kind of small, because the outcomes are usually much better.
Thank you.
Madam
I'm
Chair,
done.
Yes, sir.
got a
Mr.
mo- I
McDaniel.
have a motion.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
Okay. I move that we approve the applicant with the amendments submitted to us by the board attorney.
I second.
Okay, been moved by Mr. McDermott and seconded by Ms. Boulay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Philippe,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
No.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold,
No.
Ms. Boulay,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
Yes.
majority vote for approval,
4-2.
4-2.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Cito. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good chair has to announce that.
Yeah, but they could still work with the family, still do everything, and not open it up to a situation that these people in the middle of the night go bonkers. And the same goes.
So,
Hmm?
oh,
I'm sorry.
motion to adjourn?
Well, any old business?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any new business?
Jumping
Okay.
ahead here.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.